Hey everybody, it's Joshua Zoo Studios. Hope everyone's having a great day. Today we're going to do a little video talking about something that is not really public knowledge. It's not anything that's supposed to be hidden or anything like that, but it's just something that I don't think very many people know about. And that is the different variations of zoo tiles that are floating out there in the world. And the reason why I'm making this video now as opposed to maybe earlier is because I wasn't really sure if there was a collector contingency, I guess, out there in the world, and it seems that there is a growing or budding collector base. And the reason why I say that is because everyone probably knows about the Starter Set 2 air situation, and I kind of just threw out there, hey, if anybody wants these, talk to me and we can and maybe set a price. You know, there are only 72 in the world that exist, so I wasn't really thinking that many people were going to be interested, but actually turns out there are people interested, and I've already gone through one of the cases. So I had 6, now I have 5, and some of the prices that have been paid for those, let's just put it this way, it makes me think that there are people out there who are going to be collecting zoo tiles. There are some zoo tile collectors out there, let's just put it that way. And so this video is just supposed to be something really quick to kind of let them and anybody else who might be interested kind of know about the different variations of zoo tiles. And so far anyway. And so yeah, this shouldn't take very long. I'm just gonna kind of jump into it, tell you the little stories about each variation, and then we'll call it a day. So we'll jump right into it with this one over here on the left. So what these are tiles that you can see, that you can get from Starter Set 1. And the way I know, or if somebody brought this to me and said, hey Josh, you know, where does this come from? And what I would do is I would take a look at this code at the bottom, and I'm not sure how well the camera's picking it up, but if you take a look at in the very center, right here, there's a code. And this particular code on this tile says THD 1E1P. And what that stands for is that this tile was first found in the Tiger Horse Dog deck of the first edition, first printing of Zoo Tiles Hime. So that's how I would know, and that's how anyone would be able to know. You take a look, and there's a code right dead in the center, and that'll tell you why that tile exists and where it came from. So this one right here comes from any of the Starter Set 1s, first edition, first printings that are out there in the world, ones that you can buy in stores and online and all that. If you bought it, you would get this edition of Zoo Tile. Now, next to over here, there are these two, which are kind of like brothers, and these two are what would be considered pre-alpha versions of Zoo Tiles. And let's see, there's kind of a lot of differences between the two, but let's talk about the differences between these two first and kind of the history behind these. So these tiles were tiles that were made explicitly and specifically for GAMA Expo 2020, and the reason why they were made was for me to take them to that show and to do demos with them and to show distributors and to show retailers. And the reason why I made 2 versions, I'm not sure if you can tell, but there is one with rounded corners and one with square corners. Now, going into GAMA, I was pretty certain that I was going to go with rounded corners, but I wasn't 100% certain. So I wanted to take square corners just to kind of get feedback from other people and see what they thought. And yeah, retailers thought that it was a good idea to go with the rounded corners because these actually are pretty sharp and pointy. So, you know, you don't want somebody throwing that at like a kid throwing it or anything, or poking themselves on it. So, yeah, as far as the print run for these go, these I think were about 900 were printed of each. Don't quote me on that, but I think that's about right. And outside of the corners versus the rounded, they're exactly the same. And again, if somebody were to bring this to me, because these two are very similar, the way I would know that this was a pre-alpha version is, again, I would take a look at the little code here at the bottom, and this one says THD-PA1. So that stands for pre-alpha 1, and so that's how I would know that this is a pre-alpha. And another way you could know is if you take a look at the font in the text box. So that one is a sans serif font, and that one is a serif font, and so that's another way that you can kind of tell the difference between like a pre-alpha or early tile versus a later tile. And the reason why I went with that, there's two reasons actually. One of them was because somebody who was playing with it and they thought that this was easier on their eyes. So sans serif just read better and was easier on the eyes. And also you can kind of tell that this takes 5 lines to describe what it needs to do, whereas this one takes 4 lines. So for me, especially working with tiles versus cards, real estate is definitely something top of mind. So the fact that I could, work the same information could go in 4 lines versus 5 lines here, definitely made me want to go with this one here so I could get more in less space. Let's see. So yeah, those are kind of the differences between those. As far as the code and the font, you can kind of see the same, that these two have the same font. These two are basically the same except for the corners. They were printed at the same time, bundled and sent to me at the same time. And so yeah, so that's the story of these 3. Now we'll jump over to this one here, and this one is kind of an interesting story because I didn't even ask for these. So this was something that this factory just sent over to me one day out of the blue. I wasn't expecting it, and they were like, hey, do you want, check these out. And we thought maybe you might want to go with 3mm thick tiles as opposed to 2mm thick tiles. So let's see if you can tell the difference between the two. And I thought it was funny because I didn't ask, so that was really cool of them to kind of be having, different options on their mind and being nice enough to make the tiles and to send them over. One thing you'll notice about these tiles is these are black back tiles, and again, they're very similar to these. They would have the same designation at the bottom, so they would have the same THD-PA1 there because these were the same files as these. Same thing with the font. This is the serif font. But yeah, these are kind of the chunky versions. There's only about 72 of these, I think, in existence, and except for maybe giving some to a few packs to some friends, I still have them all. They're not for sale, but if you run into any of them for whatever reason, maybe one of my friends sells them or gives them away or something, you'll kind of know that, oh yeah, these tiles aren't supposed to be 3mm thick, they're supposed to be 2. And so, yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, yeah, let's see. There are only 4 types of these tiles. So there were only dog, loud bark, elementary, and golden bone. So if anyone ever, for whatever reason, if you see a tile that's black back 3mm, but not one of these, you'll know that that's a fake because these are the only ones that were made that way. Let's see if there's anything else. No, I don't think so. Let's see. We're going to keep it under 9 minutes. That's awesome. So yeah, if you have any questions about rarities or anything else about any zoo tile, feel free to either put it in the comments or contact me a different way. I'm a big pro collector out there. I've got cards myself that TCG cards that I've had for 25 years. So definitely. A fan of collecting, and I want to be a friend of the collectors out there. So, and I want Zoo Tiles to be very collector friendly. So anyway, I'll leave it at that. Just make sure we stay under 10 minutes. And thanks for the time, and talk to you later. Bye.